Like Quentin Jefferson is a longtime NFL veteran, and like he wanted to come play in this scheme, right? Carl Lawson wanted to come rush the passer for Robert Saleh. Aaron Rodgers wanted to go play for the New York Jets, knowing that the defense he has on his own team is not only talented but a big plus scheme wise. What they're able to do and how Saleh's been able to adjust from a cover three coach to a quarters coach, split zone coverages, split field coverages. So I think those are Saleh's two strengths, right? I think this is an easier conversation when you highlight what is Saleh good at right now, right?
Yeah.
Because let's be real, right? People get on the radio and it just feels like they don't know what they're talking about anymore. And listen, I'm a New York kid. You're a Jersey kid. We grew up in the car on drives, and you just listen to sports radio. I listened to sports radio all the way until the fact when I was, sitting at work at Bleacher Report as a 22-year-old during my lunch break, or even if I had busy work and I could put it on. Maybe this is harsh, and it's not a shot at everyone, right? There's plenty of good young hosts out there. I mean, seriously, I've gone on. Jake Asman's been filling in for ESPN, Ty Butler. Those young guys, they're doing a great job. But it feels like some people on mainstream shows are getting on there and just creating conversation that doesn't even make sense. So I think an easier way to do it, rather than saying, is this fake energy, or is he not at practice, or is Robert Saleh is appealing to the cameras of Hard Knocks, is you just go through what is he good at. Well, if you study Robert Saleh's defense, he's really good at assessing what his defense wants to do and the talent he needs to thrive in that defense for it to succeed. I think he's on a really good trajectory for that with the New York Jets, with the young players they've taken, developed, and what they're doing, and the hiring of Ulbrich, to be fair. I think Ulbrich's done a pretty good job, especially since he adjusted a couple weeks into the season last year. Number two is player relations, getting veterans to buy in, getting rookies to buy into what you're selling. What he needs to work on, maybe some in-game things for sure. I think that it remains to be seen if his staff is really good, and I say that honestly. I don't know if Nathaniel Hackett's going to be a good hire. I hope so. I hope Jeff Ulbrich continues to take steps into building one of the best defenses in the NFL. I absolutely hope so. Decision-making, aggressive nature, special teams, things like that. So how he supplements his deficiencies is what ultimately dictate the ceiling of him as a coach. But at least we kind of have a baseline right now, Joe, of what we know Robert Saleh brings to the table.
Yeah, I think it's an underrated thing, too, that you mentioned Ulbrich, right? Everyone was ready to fire Ulbrich after week 2 or 3 last year. And listen, we were critical of him, too. He did not have a good first year. And it seems like ever since that fight on the sideline with Quinnen Williams, the Jets' defense has been awesome. And, that's a credit to him to being adaptable. And now it looks like a hire that you feel really good about. He's coming across good in Hard Knocks. This defense was great last year, especially considering where they were the year before. The expectation is that they're going to be great again, and there's no reason not to expect that. They've looked great all summer and in the preseason. And he came here with a defensive background. The defense has been turned around really promptly. As you said, he is an asset, not something to work around in bringing talent here. I don't necessarily know if the Jets get Aaron Rodgers if they have a different head coach. I think some of the talent on the roster certainly helped too, without question, and Joe Douglas deserves credit for that. But Saleh, Rodgers wasn't going to come here to play for a coach that he didn't respect and didn't think that he could work with at this stage of his career. And same
Saleh
goes,
hired Hackett.
Exactly.
So,
and that also, that's a guy, and look, we have to see if this works out. We were having fun with the Martini Nate stuff, and I think he's been much better served as this sort of half offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, red zone design specialist alongside Rodgers. But
slash entertainer,
slash Sean Payton foil. Saleh was able to put his ego aside and make a decision that likely helped the Jets get Aaron Rodgers, which he's not a dumb guy. He knows how much this helps the team. And he said, you know what? I don't have a problem letting go of my guy, handpicked guy on the floor who had his shortcomings, who still may develop into being a good offensive coordinator down the road, and go do something that, at least in the short term for the next 2 years, could be and should be for the betterment of the organization. So we'll see if it works out, but I think there's plenty of reason to be optimistic with this guy. When I think of what could prohibit this team from really being good this year, he's not the first thing that comes to mind. It's the offensive line and it's injuries. And those injuries mostly specifically around Aaron Rodgers. If the Jets aren't going to make the playoffs this year, it's because the offensive line is truly a mess, or because Aaron Rodgers gets banged up